YouTube. So if you're new here, or maybe you found us on YouTube, welcome. Another Thursday night of talking real estate, talking how to build your wealth in investing in real estate, taking what you're currently doing to the next level. So I'm going to go ahead and show you where we are currently at. All right, for the last two sessions, we were talking about getting to this point here. And that's okay if you're coming in at this point and you missed last two, that's okay. We're going to loop back around because I want to make sure that each and every one of you understand how to go out there and implement some of these strategies so you can craft a good business pitch, put it together, go out there, raise some capital, make it happen. Because I'll tell you what, now's the time to get prepared, because when we start coming out of all of this shutdown in the next 2 years, it's going to be nothing but pure opportunity, regardless of who happens to be in office. You know, we just are going to adapt. One president might take it a certain direction and we morph to what that is. Another president's going to take it a different direction and we adapt and move with that. But regardless if the economy is doing good, the economy is doing bad, or everything is in turmoil, there is opportunity. You just have to be able to see it. I mean, so to catch everybody up where we are talking about putting together a rental company that can not only sustain itself, but it can also grow. So the last two sessions really dove into where the capital came from, two excellent starter properties, as you see on the screen here, Duplex LLC, Triplex LLC, and also anything you see in a square is its own company. It could be a rectangular square, that's its own company. Now, where we were before today is two rental properties, 5 units total, bringing in steady monthly cash flow, and everything is going good. However, this is for a business that is called the 1,000 Doors Project. So how are we going to take it to that next level? And that is where we're going to talk about tonight. So with everything in place, let's see. Hey, Michael Ray. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being there earlier. Let's dive on in. All right. So where we are right now is the two businesses that are owned by the master company. So total of 3 companies, a duplex and a triplex, everything's involved here. Now we got to scale up. We got to get bigger. We got to take it to the next level. And so Commercial Real Estate LLC, a new company being created that is going to be owned by the parent company, the 1,000 Doors Project. And in this example, we're looking at a 12-unit apartment complex. Now, for the property that we're looking for and this would be in Southern Arizona, you would just tailor these numbers to fit your area. We can pick one up for $1 million, 12 units, $1 million. I was actually just evaluating a property with 17 units for $1 million. And, you know, depending on the grade, the properties that we're looking for as far as apartment complexes are Class C or low Class B. So something right in the middle. Don't want to be a slumlord. That's not my thing. But I also don't want the fanciest things. I want just what is the average Joe going to rent? Average rents. That is the units that are always going to be filled. And many of the times, the reason that I'm looking for these is because they've been owned by the same owner for so long, the market rents are usually under where they need, or the properties are not renting at current market rent, which means that there's a lot of opportunity there to increase the rental value, which ultimately, since these apartment complexes are businesses, that is what increases the value. If you can increase the rents, you will ultimately increase the value of the property. There's a couple different ways of, we're not going to talk tonight. We'll have another separate video on talking about how to actually increase value inside an apartment complex. But one of them is raising rents. And typically, anytime a new lease is taken out, It gives you an opportunity, if somebody's renewing a lease, to have a small bump in increase. It's just normal. That's usually what takes place. Maybe it's $25, maybe it's $50. Typically, I would say a 3% annual increase is not unheard of. Now, if that tenant moves out and then you got a brand new tenant in place in that new unit, you bring it to market rent. There is no reason not to. Just in the course of 2 years on this duplex and triplex, we're talking 5 units. The units were ranging from $400 to $700, and now those units rent for $800 to $1,300. So we actually increased, between 5 units in 2 years, almost $1,000 in rent. That's what can be done when it's been managed by the same person for a long time and they haven't increased rents. Lots of value that could be added to your property there. Okay, so we're looking at getting another larger unit complex, taking it to the next level. We got our feet wet with these duplexes and the triplexes, understood how that worked, and now let's take it to the next level. So this commercial property, we're going to need money to put down on that. Since we've been building business credit all along the way, we are able to get the financing in place with only a 25% down payment. But hey, that is $250,000. Where on earth are we going to get that money from? Well, we got a lot of options. One of the options is non-recourse collateral loans. And I'm going to shut my camera off just for 2 seconds. That way you can see that. So non-recourse collateral loans. These are actually going to be taken out against the existing properties. If you remember, these properties were free and clear. There was no existing debt on either the duplex or the triplex. And so taking out a non-recourse, because that means that it's only the asset that is at risk, and they use that as the collateral, we can pull together $250,000 for the down payment. The 220 that you see here on the triplex and the 160,000 that you see on the duplex, those were the purchase prices. The duplex current value about 240, so an $80,000 increase in 2 years. And the triplex current value, 340, so $120,000 value increase on those. So we will have no issues pulling $250,000 of equity out of those properties. That is what is going to be used as the down payment. Now, that doesn't cover everything. We still have $750,000 that we will need to leverage. So the main parent company will take out a non-recourse commercial loan for the property itself. The apartment complex can be collateralized. It is a business. And the rent rolls, the taxes, the monthly statements, the leases, these can all be used as guarantee for payment. Now, of course, you're going to have to bring money to the table, but you can use those things as reason for a way to repay the debt. Same with the triplex, same with the duplex. Those are those rents that have been coming in, the leases that are in place. That is a guarantee for the bank to be able to get their payments. And since we have spent a significant amount of time establishing a good business credit relationship with lenders, that is what was needed to be able to accomplish this. Now, why is this so important? Why, you say, well, you just could go raise some other capital. Of course, we could bring on some more partners, raise some more capital. We could do it that way. But what's important about this, and if you have been plugging into us and you've been learning about velocity banking, you've been learning about the credit banking strategy, that is going to come into play here, because now we're introducing debt to this equation. But just like all the other businesses, we continue with the building of the business credit because we need those credit lines as a crucial aspect to the big picture. Next, of course, liability insurance, renter's insurance. And as you see here, green represents money that is coming in, or liquidity. Red is the liability. This is expense that is going to go out. And renter's insurance is neutral at the blue because that is something that we'd pass off to the tenants. And the last mixture of this is the velocity banking, or what we like to call it now, the credit banking strategy. Now, if you're not familiar with that, and maybe you found us by the real estate side, I'll explain what that is in just a moment. Of course, we're going to have taxes, maintenance, loan repayments, as always. And then, of course, all the cash flow. Well, actually, before I go there, I'm going to cover the velocity banking real quick, or the credit banking strategy. All this really is a way of strategically paying bills, strategically managing your cash flow, managing your debt, using the funds that you have, the credit lines that you have, all the financial situation, and structuring in a way to rapidly reduce the debt of high interest amortized loans. So since there's 3 loans in place, that is 3 loans we need to get hacked down as fast as possible. Integrating with business lines of credit, taking chunks, using cash flow to pay down that debt allows us, when we use a line of credit, to maintain the liquidity, but also using all of our cash flow to pay down that debt. I know if that's the first time you're hearing any of this, make sure you're here for Tuesday nights when we go over another aspect of the credit banking strategy and how to implement that into your life, into your business. It is truly revolutionary. All right, so we have this property. It's up and running. It's being managed. We got the rents coming in. We now have to start to service all the debt. Crucial point to this is the cash flow coming off the cash flow projected at 80% occupancy. Remember, we're not doing full occupancy. 80% occupancy not only needs to cover all the debt payments, the monthly payments, but give us a surplus of cash flow. That is how we're going to be able to manage this and make it work. So if the property cannot put off enough cash flow to not only service the debt, but then also have a little bit on top, then we don't want it. We have to make it work for this situation. Now, after everything, monthly cash flow, after all loan repayments, that money is going to go back to the parent company. So that takes us to the next level. What does this look like? We're going to expand into a apartment complex. We're 2 years into this. And you're thinking, how on earth are you guys going to get to 1,000 doors? I mean, this is, you're at 5, and then we're going to potentially 17 units. How are we going to get to the 1,000 doors? And that is the question that our partners had before they wanted to get on board. So what do we do in this situation? What does that look like? And I'm going to demonstrate what that actually looks like. We built a timeline, built a 10-year projection. Now, of course, this is ideal situation. This is without, any hiccups or bumps in the road. But we knew the first 2 years are just going to be a foundational building period. The first was setting up the company. Next, acquiring a duplex that was 2 units at $180,000, and acquiring the triplex at 3 units for $250,000. What we needed to do from there was plan on how we're going to grow this. So moving into year 2 and 3, the goal is to take $150,000 and put that down on 30 units or its equivalent. The example we just had was 12 units, and depending on the grade of apartment complex, it could be 18 units, it could be 20 units. We've also looked at going into some other smaller cities where we can get 30 units for $750,000. And so that's really what we started to look at, is other places that we could go not just in our local area, but some other smaller places around that we could get a lot more units for our money. Midwest, we've been looking at a lot of units in the Midwest where we could pick up 50, 60 unit properties at very, very inexpensive rates. I mean, we're talking out there, you can buy houses for $20,000 and rent them for $1,000 a month. It's crazy what's going on. So moving into the second year and the third year, acquiring some properties, 30 units here, $750,000. That would require a $150,000 down payment. We could leverage the triplex to get 40 units at 1 million, which is a 20% down payment at $200,000. These are doable if as long as you have business credit in place in that build, because the interest rates or what is actually going to be able to be reduced when you have a good business credit score. That will bring us up to 75 units. Moving into years 4, 5, and the start of 6. So we're talking, this is from here, we're talking 3.5 years down the road now. There's a lot of growing that needs to take place before this can be achieved. And our projection is that the prices here are if there is a decline. Now, of course, we will have to cut back those units if there is not the real estate decline that we are anticipating. So maybe it's not 60 units, but it's 40 units. But in this case, 1.5 million, 20% down, that's $300,000. We continue to leverage, pull out equity to expand and go bigger. Now, the $1 million property that was purchased, that, of course, the debt's been getting paid down on that. And now either through the selling of it or the leveraging of what's currently there, many times we might sell off what's existing there or take out new debt or bring on some partners to make some of these things happen. But the goal would be to acquire 2 more $1 million properties in year 4 and 5 with 40 more units each, bringing us to 215 units. Now moving into year 6 and 7, acquiring $3 million property, utilizing the 20% down payment at $600,000 would give us 150 Class C apartments. We could also pick up 100 units for $2 million and another 100 units for $2 million as well, leveraging the properties that we have already used and continuing to move forward. That brings the current unit count to 565, moving into year 8. This is not something that happens overnight. This is going to take years to grow. Moving into year 8 and 9, another acquisition of a 300 unit property, 200 unit property, and another 200 unit property for a total of 1,265 units. But that would be, let's see, 6 plus another 8. I mean, we're talking $14 million worth of properties moving into year 8 and 9 with just being able to leverage what has currently been built. And to finish it off, let me turn off my camera here. That way you can see. To finish it off, moving into the 10 and 11th years, 12 million acquisition, an 8 million acquisition, and another $8 million acquisition property, bringing us to 2,665 units. Now, of course, this is in the ideal world. Do things always move as quickly and as fast as we want? Can we always get as many units as we want? Of course not. You know, like in the beginning, this might be 15 units and not 30. Instead of 40, we're getting 20. So if we cut everything in half, we're still at our goal. Because let's take a look at this. If we follow this, 2,665 units, you could sell 1,665 of those and pay off the remaining 1,000 units. Or with 2,665 units, 80% occupancy, so 2,132 units, and with an average cash flow of $469 per door, would gross $1 million a month. Or we could do vote on the dividend and we continue to grow towards $500,000. What is so powerful about this is we've leveraged every part of the way, but it all started with only $400,000. And that is what we were able to demonstrate. And if we do half of this, it's still amazing. But our partners needed to know what the plan was. And then, investing some of their money into this business, with those being able to see the potential reward there, is absolutely amazing. Yeah, it is, Michael, for sure. And then, because if we go back just a little bit, Wise Guys and Ties as a company that owns half of this. And so our partners are like, wait a second, well, if we're bringing all the money here, why would Wise Guys and Ties get half of everything? Well, one, somebody's got to grow this. Somebody's got to build this. There's a difference between just having money go to work, but somebody's got to direct those funds to make this happen. So let's take a look at what that is. Anybody know who these guys are? Any of them look familiar to you? Maybe you've seen them. Maybe you've seen some of these pictures before. Yep. So Michael says Gates, Watts. Yep, absolutely. So we got boom, boom, boom. All right. So now everybody knows who we are. We got Walt Disney, we got Bill Gates, and then we got Steve Jobs. These guys all started companies when they just had a plan, a vision, and a dream. Walt Disney, he was kind of called crazy. People didn't really necessarily believe in what he was doing, but he had this vision, he had this plan. Steve Jobs, Steve Jobs, he started really in a garage. Same with Bill Gates. I mean, these guys started with basically people thinking that they're nuts. And so there's no shortage of dreamers in the world. There's only a shortage of people who will do whatever it takes to make those dreams become a reality. And that was a good selling point for our partners to realize, hey, I want to get on board in this. This is something that's ground level. This is something that we could allow to grow over the next 10, 20 years, because this is not something that is going to be built overnight. It's going to take a long time. But back to that question, why? Why would the business providing the services be able to do this? Well, let's look at that. The 1,000 Doors Project. Now, our investors, our shareholders, our board of directors is really the money. Those are our partners that have brought in the money. They own 50% of this company. They invested into ownership in this business. Now, the other side of that business is the Wise Guys and Ties. This is myself and Joseph Smith. We act as the CEO, the CFO, the COO, which now actually Wise Guys and Ties, it's myself and Emily Smith. So Joseph's better half, so she is actually coming in and bringing some of her tremendous, amazing skills of years of, we're talking 15, 20 years of running companies. She's a phenomenal, wonderful individual, and you're going to see her a lot, and she's a powerhouse. So what do we actually do? We handle the operations, the legal side, the LLCs, the marketing, the finance side of it, the bookkeeping. We manage the accountants. We manage the credit building. We do the debt management. The corporate relations, the local community, the sales, the team aspect of that, the lead generation, the finding of the properties, the initiating of contracts, the execution of contracts, and the investor capital, the raising of capital, attorneys, the legal compliance, the administration, the contractors, the property management, the realtors, the risk management. Remember, this is not some little thing that just, 1,000 units can just run by itself. No, the levels of management that have to be in place, the levels of management that has to be in place for 5 units to run smoothly, to make sure monthly accounting is done, that everything gets paid on time. This is not some small task with even just 5 units. When there's insurances, there's monthly bills, there's tenants, there's contracts, there's leases, there's marketing, just on that. So the key is not to basically completely overwhelm ourselves. The goal was to start small, get some systems in place, build on that, build some more systems, and keep scaling up. Money can't do that by itself. And that is why we don't make any money off of this, really. This is a huge investment of our time and energy to get this done. I do not make any money off of this yet. For the last 2 years, I have invested a significant amount of my time and not taken a single penny, because it's going to grow. But I'll tell you what, when this thing is putting off a couple $100,000 a year, a month in profits, it's going to be worth it. I'm willing to spend the next 15 years building that for sure. Now, the goal is, after we achieve our goals, or I should say, let me put this back on here. So after we achieve our goals, this was another important part of this entire plan. Because remember, I'm not only showing you guys what something is possible, then you can go out and implement, but this is the same deck that we use to pitch our potential partners. And as we continue to go over this and repeat it and expand on each step in the equation, the hope is that you're going to be able to go out there and do this yourself. We want to give you the plan for you to be able to go out and execute. And one key ingredient to an amazing business plan is making it bigger than yourselves. This is not all about money. Yes, having a lot of money allows you to be able to expand the good that you do. But every single business you have should have a purpose. It should have a vision. It should have a mission. It should have a mission statement and a benchmark of what you want to achieve. And so after we achieve our goals, this business is designed to give back. So we are incredibly blessed and know that there are many less fortunate than us. Our common values inspire us to show our gratitude to our heroes and donate 1 out of every 10 doors to help keep homeless U.S. military veterans off the street. We all have really deep ties to veterans, and we've seen a lot of really bad things happen to good patriots. And this isn't necessarily where, we open up one of our units to a veteran. It might be the cash flow goes to the nonprofit, because that's another part of the equation. Is in our big scope of businesses, there's also the 503c the 503 nonprofits. That's an important equation into what we're doing. So our main companies can donate money to our nonprofits that will have notes and properties set up, so we can run our own housing inside the nonprofits to reach a certain status level. And that's kind of the great big vision of everything that we do. We grow massive companies, but then also build nonprofit organizations to go alongside it, so we can start to develop housing and other aspects of helping the community be better at what we need. And then, man, that is a lot of what our dream and our passion was when we set this up, is how do we change other people's lives by doing this? And if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this. So that was what we brought to the table. This is what is in the works right now. And another thing, as we go through this and I show you that, hey, you guys want to set it up this way when you're talking to potential partners. Remember, with the deck that I'm showing you right now, over $406,000 was raised, and people were on board with 406,000 in 1 month, 32 days. So a lot of money can come really quickly if you have the right vision and the right plan. Now, another selling point, as we're sitting there, we're going to the folks that we already know. We have this warm market of people that we built relationships with. We're sitting on their couch. We're sitting down in their home with them. We're going through the PowerPoint with them, and we're telling them about the dream and the vision and what they're going to be getting on board with. So this is the 1,000 Doors Project. Thank you for your attention. That's how we kind of would finish the presentation. And then going for the close, we really only had to talk to 10 people to get 7 on board right there. And the other 3 that we weren't able to get on board, it's not that they didn't want to bring money to the table. They just didn't have enough to bring. So every single person that saw this was on board and still is on board. And of course, what do you do with that? Well, you just create another business and put them in another thing. So way to drive the what is the word I'm looking for? There's a sense of urgency in everything. And there's also a limited number of seats. Legally, we could not put more than 7 without really running into some type of SEC regulation, which we were not ready to do yet with this. Now, one day we might do that to accelerate this, and we can take it to a whole nother level a lot quicker. But we wanted to find 7 people, and our goal was $400,000. So here you go. It says 0 of 7 slots filled. When that first person committed to this, we revamped the PowerPoint. And this PowerPoint, when we had the first person online, it was actually a business pair. It was very interesting. 71,000. That was literally every penny that they had usable or freely investable. They were like, okay, that's what we got. We're going to bring that on board. And once you have that first person committed, the other ones will become a lot easier. So then the next one that we pitched to, that was $150,000 that was raised off of that one. They wanted to have a significant amount of control in the voting of this company, but we're already over halfway there. And once you're over halfway there, so much easier. It gets a lot easier. The next person was on board for 50. Then after that, 40. And then from there, 25 and another 20. And then finishing it off with the very last person that came in with 50, leaving or having commitments for $406,000. And at that point, that's when we call the attorneys, start the drafting of documentation, because as the saying goes, strike when the iron is hot. You don't know how long people will stay liquid. There could be another opportunity that comes about, but it did take 3 months. 3 months to get all the documentation written up, all the operating agreement, the meetings with attorneys, making sure everybody understood what is going on inside here. How is everything actually going to be ran? And once it was all up and running, funded, and that's when we started executing on the properties. And so that really kind of brings us to the end of today. Now, a lot of this is designed around a rental property, around a rental business. But something else that is not, as you have a business that gets up and running for real estate, this doesn't necessarily have to be apartment complexes. We've looked at mobile homes, like trailer parks almost. We've looked at storage units. Right now, there's a very serious discussion in this company taking place on selling those 2 units, or selling the duplex and the triplex, and developing a storage complex. Storage units do very well. And right now, we have not really found any locally here that are for sale, but the anticipation of the demand is high. So that could be another thing. Develop a storage complex. Since we have experience with fix and flipping real estate, developing real estate, there's a lot of different options. It doesn't just have to be, oh, we're getting apartment. Well, maybe we develop a storage unit and flip it. Maybe we flip an apartment complex. However we can get to our goal, we will do. And the more tools that you have in your utility belt, the more success you're going to have. Because if you just have one skill set, you can only get so far. But if you have 20 or 30 different ideas or 20 or 30 different skill sets and exit strategies and different acquisition strategies, you're going to have a lot more success. And everything that we talk about on these Thursday nights, everything we talk about on Tuesday nights is a culmination of everything that we've learned. And so as we continue to learn and we continue to experience things, our goal is to continue to bring it to you so you can implement that in your business. And regardless if you want to do real estate, you want to build a trucking company, a logistics, you want to build a bakery, you want to start a car racing team, whatever it is that you want to start, it all is going to go back to the business. It's going to go to the business plan. And it's how are you going to grow your leverage? And as always, we're going to encourage you to go out there and learn and continue to learn about growing business credit, raising capital, and putting it into an effective plan so people can follow along. All right, folks. Today's a little bit shorter. We've been on here for almost about 40 minutes, but I think we're going to call it good for today. Stay tuned for next Thursday. Next Thursday, we're going to start this process fresh. We're going to start from the ground. We're going to talk about different ways of raising the capital, helping potential partners find the capital that they need through their retirement accounts, through their life insurance policies, wherever somebody has money that they don't know that they have access to. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about self-directing IRAs, and we're going to build a little bit more on what we talked about before, a little bit more tips and tricks and some strategies on implementing self-directed IRAs into your business dealings. My name is Ray Fleming, and I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. Michael Ray says, this was amazing, very inspiring. Ray, you're a pro. Thank you, Michael, and I will talk to you tomorrow, my buddy. And everybody else who tuned in live on the mastermind, who else we got in here? We got Gwen, we got Brian, we got Will, we got Jake, we got Paul, and I'm sure we got a whole bunch of folks on YouTube as well. So thank you everybody who is watching live on YouTube. If you want to plug into the Zoom call, just go over to wiseguysandties.com/events, and you can register for any of our 4 weekly free masterminds where we work with you on helping you understand the systems that this country has so you can leverage them to your advantage, go out there and build your wealth and be that change that you want to see in the country and your community. Once again, folks, go out there and spread love. Invite a friend out because we're going to be talking about positivity here, how to be better. And regardless of what happens, we're going to adapt and we're going to overcome, and we're going to stay with you each and every week and be up to date on what's happening in the market, what's happening in the economy, and make sure that you have those tools that you need to succeed. Good night and God bless.